Well, folks, it's that time of the year. Finals are around the corner for most divisions. However, Division 7, the finals start this week, and we've got two big games. The qualifying, first of all, which is Para Hills versus Houghton out there at Para Hills, and the elimination final with OSB versus Flinders Uni in Division 7. Indy, what else have we got coming up on the show?
Well, Phil Herden will be summarising all of the men's and women's results from this late stage of the season, as well as Tommy Javor giving his Division 1 wrap on round 17 of Division 1 in the Adelaide Footy League. Only 1 week to go, Tony.
Well, not only with that wrap, yourself, of course, Division 3 wrap with 1 round to go.
Yeah, so we'll be giving you a brief update on what's happening in the final round of Division 3. But Tony Neal will also be giving you a more comprehensive update on the summary of Division 7 this year, rounding out some of the biggest award winners, the final ladder position, and the way that'll all shape up ahead of an exciting final series. We'll also be taking a look at the Coach of the Week, who is just so, in fact, from Division 7 as well. We'll be taking a look at some of the best marks and goals of the weekend and the upcoming women's grand final results, as well as the best and fairest winners for each respective women's division. And on top of that, we'll also be giving you an update on the live stream commentating teams for all of the upcoming matches this weekend. So stay tuned, there's a lot to unpack on tonight's episode of Between the Posts.
Well, folks, exciting time of the week. Always get a bit excited with this Coach of the Week. Who's it going to be? What have they done to get it? And so on. It is from Division 7 this week. And thanks to Farmers Leap, we get a bottle of Random Shot Cab Sav and Random Shop Shiraz, and it goes to our winner, which is Carey Payne down there at Ingle Farm. And Ingle Farm have had a great season. They've only lost the 1 game throughout the year. They're forging into the finals because they get a week off this week, but they finished off the season very strongly. If you look at their position on the ladder, they are on top, but they've also got the highest fours and the lowest against. So a fantastic job down there to the boys at Ingle Farm, and let's keep an eye on how they go in Division 7 for the rest of the year. Well done, Carey Payne and the team down there at Ingle Farm.
And welcome to the Division 1 weekly wrap on Between the Posts. If it was an AFL show, we might call it Hit the Post. Or did it? Who knows? But I'll tell you what I do know for certain. Glenunga are the minor premiers. Congratulations to the Rams. They say a week's a long time in football. Well, 2 years must be a very long time, not even 2 years. I look back to the Div 2 Grand Final where Old Ignatians absolutely took care of Glenunga, both coming into Div 1 last year. Now Glenunga sit a game and a half clear with 1 to go, whilst Old Iggies are going to go back to Div 2 without a win on the board, except for a points in discrepancy by another team or playing a player that shouldn't have been played. But let's get into it, because there is a lot to unpack here from what was a huge penultimate round of the Adelaide Footy League Div 1. Finals are taking shape, but there's still so many questions around relegation. There's finals chances. Could Broadview come from the clouds? Let's stick with the results first. Of round 17, Stream Team game, Glenunga and PAC. It was at Webb Oval with Adam Jeffries, the great man. And it was Glenunga 11-16-82, PAC 8-7-55. The player in footage is that man who needs no introduction. He's big, he's bold, he's the bear. Abe Davis, number 10 for Glenunga. He had 12 more touches than anyone else on the ground, but didn't he have some impact? 34 touches at 91%. You can hang your hat on that. You might even get to ride a horse on that. He had 6 clearances, he kicked a goal. He was a man mountain in the centre, and he was unstoppable. Well done to Abe on a great game. For the goal kickers, Tommy Boyne just keeps bobbing up. 3 goals, most of them early as well. As a small forward, he's such an important part of that structure and blend that Glenunga have. And Michael Wonke, 2-time Ken Farmer medalist, is back. He's fit, he's looking strong, and he's taking the best defender. Everything you say about Glenunga at the moment, it's all coming up Millhouse. For PAC, it was Perks who kicked a couple of goals, the Percolator. Brazel battled hard and kicked 2. And Lockie McNamara, he kicked 2. But they were absolute crackers. A left foot, so it was a right foot check side from 50 out from the Tommy Javor pocket of Webb Oval as well. Absolute cracker, and a blinding one on the run. Well done, Lockie. Gave us 2 real highlights as commentators that we very much enjoyed. Let's look at the team stats. Again, with the team stats, the Glenungas are the one team where you look at the team stats and it doesn't always tell the story because they play a strong brand of football where they take the grass, they play the long ball. It resulted in 18 more inside 50s, only 14 more kicks, but they would have been long kicks and they get it in there. Again, they've got those big bodies, they just don't get outmarked, the ball comes to ground and they've got great clearance and stoppage like little beasts. They had 23 less marks, they don't chip around, they allow the opposition to, and they had 6 more stoppage clearances, which was crucial. It's a Stream Team game, so we didn't have interviews this week, but we certainly did give away all the prizes and more. The TJ Award of Archie Songs was won by Tom Michaelady. Adam Jeffries loved his game, of course, playing in the back pocket now as a real lockdown, tight, tough defender, just like his brother Max does for the Crows. The Mosey Voucher Best Team man, Sam Wonke, 11 touches at 100%. But the spoils and the pressure, he is that defensive post. He's the bookend that makes them just so difficult to score against. Great game by Sam Wonke. And the Neo Moore Macca player of the game, Huey DeSera, kicked an absolute barn burner. Worth having a look for Huey in the highlights. It was a fantastic goal and one he'd be very proud of. The Best on Ground, New Balance Voucher and Dartfish Beanie, probably don't need to tell you, that was Abe Davis. A great game indeed. Better players for PAC, they gave Jack Trengrove best with 18 touches. I thought Jolly was as good as anyone, he had 29. A few of them kick-outs admittedly, but he worked really, really hard. I like Lockie McNamara's game as well, 21 and 2. And interestingly enough, now I'm not sure if the Dartfish Boffins might have been on the on Saturday night, but they said he went at 100%. I don't think anyone went at 100% in that game. It was tough, it was tight, it wasn't easy possessions, but either way, a beautiful game. And Sumner, his defensive work was to be admired. Really good contest with Mick Wonke. A game within a game, really enjoyable contest to watch. Final thoughts on the game. I've watched Glenunga for the last 2 weeks at Webb Oval, and that's the only place they'll be until grand final day if they get there. They're the minor premiers, and they are now officially the Tommy Javor red hot favourites for the flag. Good luck tomorrow, I'll mob the Rams. All right, let's get on to our next game, Jimmy. All right, Tommy. Jimmy doesn't talk, he just points and shoots. There's a thumbs up from Jim Bob. And it was a crucial one. T3 Gully had to get the job done, and they did. 13-19, I think that's 97, yep. Brighton 2-13, again inaccurate, 25. The man in focus is number 22 for T3 Gully, Brodie Latham. He kicked 6 of the best, 6 goals, 2 off of 9 marks, and 21 touches at 81%. A great game by Brodie Latham. He's one of those players that can really bob up. He's an exciting machine, and when he's up and about, T3 Gully are as well. Other major goal kickers was, of course, that man, Pistol, Pete Perstos with 2. The best celebrator in the league gets a very special mention. Looking at the stats, well, T3 Gully, they just owned it really. They own ground possession, they put the ball in their forward 50 and they tended to lock it in and have repeat stoppages, repeat entries because the inside 50s were 57 to 27. 9 more clearances, suggest as the usual types. Penny giving first use to McKay, Luke Brown, allowing for more clearances, and 27 more hit-outs again also suggests that. Let's look at some of the better players for Brighton. Brave Brighton. They needed this one to play finals. They now actually would technically fall into the possibility of being relegated if they were to drop their round 18 clash. They'll be going like this, that it's old Iggy's. No disrespect. McGarry had 29. Ty Murphy played his roll down back, which he's done all year. Otis Carthy, a good game with 33. And a man, I've made the joke so many times, I don't want to make the same crap joke, but Jack Plenty has lots of it. Plenty indeed. 35 touches. That's a great game by anyone's standards. Doesn't matter what you do with him. If you can get the hold of it 35 times, you're doing something right. For the Galleys, Brodie Latham, you can't really go past him. Good to see the boss, Alex McKay, back in there with 24. Blake Penny with a 26 hit-outs, outstanding game. Luke Brown, 32 touches, and Tape and Jaffa certainly played important roles as well. On to our next game, and this one was really interesting. It's Spock and Shock, the college rivals. If Spock had have won, believe it or not, they'd still be in the finals mix. As it was, they didn't win, and they're in the relegation mix. So it's Spock 5-4-34. Shock are back, I think, 12-7-79. A couple of good names in there for the goal kickers with Kakuro and Cross with 3 apiece. 2 prime movers there. The player we're going to look at, though, not going to lie, is one of my favourites. He's a ripper. Number 9, the Shock captain, Clayton Simons. He's come off a game where he's had 21 touches at 90%, 3 clearances, 4 marks, 2 tackles, and he always finds a way to get a goal. The most impressive thing about Clayton when I've watched him play this year is his work rate. He works from one pocket to the other pocket, the length of the ground. Doesn't always get used, but he always slides in behind at the stoppage and creates that extra man. He's a very clever footballer and a big part of their structure. So well done on your best on ground. Team stats. 79 more effective kicks for the Shockers, 11 more inside 50s, 67 more marks. They do like to possess and change lanes and slowly work the ball up the field. They do it very well. They're very skilled side, so they do that quite well. And 25 more hitouts. Noble and Collotto obviously getting a hold of the Spock Ruckman, although the Spock Ruckman was very, very good. More on that later. Let's look at the better players. We'll start with Spock. Allen again, 22 touches. De Cesare, fantastic. But he may not have won all the hitouts, although he did have 22 hitouts of his own. But Jordan Lockwood, the big, beefy, brave, bison-like man that he is, my best on ground. I'm putting it out there, 9 best on ground. He had 9 elite touches, 4 bone-crunching tackles as only he can deliver, 4 clearances, and 3,800 1%ers. That's right. He's a star, Jordan Lockwood. Keep it up. I'm going to miss you if you do get relegated. All right, best for the winners. Darcy Glorious, my boy, went really well. Cam Rankin, very good. Crossy, 22 and 3. That's a good game by any stretch of the imagination. Lovelock had 22 touches. Noble, 32 hitouts. And that man, Clayton Simons. Shock moving to third with a win this week. Results going their way. They could actually finish second and get a home final. So all alive for them. Plenty to play for Spocks. More on that when we look at the ladder and next week's games. Let's move on to the next game. I'm quietly confident none from Old Iggy's watches this segment anymore. So, Old Iggy's, not great reporting. Old Iggy's 7-5-47, Broadies 26-17, 173. I'll tell you what is great. Someone else has kicked 10 goals. That man is Elix Day, or is it LX Day? I've not actually met him. He's number 14, ELEX Day. He had a day out. He kicked 10. He kicked 3 more than Old Iggy's team. Well done, mate. 10 goals. We saw the Big Bear do it earlier this year, Abe Davis. Doesn't happen often in Div 1. Teams don't kick 10 goals often in Div 1, so well done. For me, the disappointing part about this for Old Iggy's is they were 26 points down at half-time. Giving it a real crack. To go down by 126 is a huge drop-off in the second half. Credit where it's due to the players that certainly had a crack. It's familiar names, Elliot Mitchell, Layden and Jones. The other thing I want to say about Old Iggy's, despite the fact that Glenunga obviously had I was at Glenunga, there was a huge rivalry there. You don't want to see teams have seasons like this. 9 players who played C grade last year have played A grade this year, or are playing A grade, is a stat that I was told. I haven't deep dived into it, but I take them on their word. So there's been a huge turnover, a lot of turmoil off-season. Hopefully they can get it right. I know when they do, they'll be a more dangerous team in Div 2. Better players to Broadies. Day, well, it's not a bad day, 10 goals. Wazza, he gets leather poisoning most weeks, well done Sam Daniele. Who else have we got there? Pierce, and an interesting one in the best players, Jesse White. That's right, Jesse White's left North Adelaide and has gone straight back to Broadview. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. He's got one more game and maybe, just maybe, they might play some finals. We will see, time will tell. Our next game of the round was the thriller. It was goal for goal all day. It was really exciting. Goodwood 9-11-65 at home. Port District 9-12-66. They got the chocolates, and a lot of it was due to that man that sets up all the play. Number 25 from Port District, Cooper Gaffney. The Gaff had 19 touches, but of those 15 were kicks. Again, a lot of those are precise kicks or long kicks that set up the play and control the ground. He had 6 marks and 3 tackles, and he is just a class above many others playing in this league. An outstanding footballer. Goal kickers, well, Cleveland kicked 3 for Goodwood. It was very good, but Port shared it around a bit. Again, they're not finding... since they had that big win, they haven't found a lot of big goal kickers, but Harry Dwight kicked 2 and Kenny Carpenter, bit of midfield, bit of up forward, also bobbed up with a brace. It's interesting reading the stats because Port did have 41 less touches. They didn't result in the inside 50 count though, they still had 8 more of those. Again, they use the ball really well and they can find a nice lane and get into the 50 quite easily because they're highly skilled. They had 39 less hit-outs, which is interesting, but they did have 4 more clearances and 6 more frees. Let's have a look at the better players. For Goodwood, Heitman had 26. Cleland, 6 marks and 3 goals too. It's a really good game for a big forward. Johnson, 19 touches, 6 marks, 6 tackles. It's a good all-round game. For Port, as mentioned, Gaff, best on ground for mine, well, and for the person that was commentating it. Harry Dwyer, 17-2. Kenny Carpenter, 22-2. Both very good games indeed. So Port hang on by the skin of their teeth in a game they didn't have a lot to play for. They were going to finish 4th either way. They do finish 4th. They get a win over Goodwood, and Goodwood stay dangerously, perilously close to the relegation zone. Which brings us to, indeed, the ladder. the exciting reading that is the ladder. A round 18 blockbuster or 5 is coming up. Glenunga sit top 15-2, a game and a half clear. Congratulations, Rams. You are the minor premiers. First final will be in week 2 at home. Who they play is still up for grabs. PAC, a game and a half behind. Shock, 2 games behind. Port District sit 4th on 11 wins, 3 game clear of 5th. We can just lock all that in. Port will be at home on the first week. The stream team will be there in 2 weeks' time covering Port versus someone. Who will it be now? I'll tell you who it will be. It'll either be Tea Tree Gully or Broadview. Tea Tree Gully sit with 8 wins on 49.79. Broadview sit 7 wins at 48.30. That's 1.49% difference. That can be made up if things go right or wrong, depending on which way you're looking at it. We'll just move down. Brighton, 6 wins at 41.95. Believe it or not, if they were to drop this game, could get relegated. Goodies, 5.5 wins. The half a win takes percentage out of the equation. And Spock St. Peter's, 5 wins at 40.89. So you can see that percentage difference of 1.06 between Brighton in 7th and Spock in 9th. Oldies, 1 win, they're gone. So let's look at the round 18 teams and how the connotations, the minutiae, as I unpack all the trivial little details, how it unfolds. The first game, the stream team game, which I won't be at this week, is Sacred Heart taking on Glenunga at home. What's the machinations of this one? Well, Sacred Heart win, quite possibly they go to 2nd. They lose, they're in 3rd. For Glenunga, they either way finish top. Do Glenunga rest players? I don't think so. With a week off after that, why would they? The other thing is they've got a very astute group there, very committed. Nathan Grimer is a big one. You hear him say regularly, I don't let them drink their own bathwater, and he means it. But it's not just Nathan Grimer who does a great job there. There is a team there that are driving in the same direction, an off-field team. Beachy with his analytics, second to none. He puts so much time in. David Pittman, the mad scientist, he's up at 6 a.m. studying footage, cutting it up for the team. You've got plenty of other guys there. Chris Aston, the second best B-grade coach that club's seen in a year. And then, of course, Ben Clark as well. He might just be the secret weapon behind the scenes. Let's move on to the next game. I'm going to take Glenunga in that one because they're playing really good footy. But the Shock team are fast and they're exciting. PAC versus Tea Tree Gully. PAC, if they want a home final, they need to win. Tea Tree Gully, if they want to play finals, they may need to win. If they don't win, every point will be crucial. They need to minimise any damage done on the scoreboard. If they get whipped by 10 goals, they could, according to my tips, go down out of the 5, which would be heartbreak for Justin Muscola and the boys. Because the next one is super important. It's Broadies and Goodies. It's important for both teams. Broadies, again, you know what they've got to make up? 1.49%. They need to win. It's at home, so they're a chance. Goodies don't travel that well. But Goodies, at the same time, if they drop this and St. Peter's at a win, they go down from Division 1 for the first time in 34 years. Who would have thunked it? I'm going to take Broadies. I'm not sure they'll get the win, the sizable win they need, though, to get the job done. Brighton and Old Iggies. Brighton would want to be switched on and get the job done, put it away early because the most important thing is get that relegation out of the equation. They could finish as high as 7th, but they could finish as low as 9th. So, important game, they just need to get the job done. You'd expect them to win pretty comfortably. And the last game, Spock go to Port District, to Largs North. Now, this is the interesting one, and this is the one that will have the Goodies backside just tightening a little bit. Just like that. Because Port District now have nothing to gain, apart from pride, from winning this game. They will be hosting the elimination final a week later. Will they rest players? I saw them last week. They were beaten up a fair bit. They had 4 injuries. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Coach Ramsey and the Brains Trust of Port District does this. Now, every game is important when you put on a proud Port Guernsey. I know that. But with bigger fish to fry and them just needing a clean month of football, this game actually isn't significant to them. If Spock can find a way against perhaps an undermanned or Port District resting some players, it could shake up the whole relegation battle. One thing I've seen from Spock is they're not quitters. They have a go. Rodos, Duncan, all these boys will be absolutely having a red-hot dip at keeping themselves in Division 1. And if they do get the chocolates, and I expect Broadview to beat Goodwood, then the unthinkable is going to happen for a team that I thought could play finals as recently as 3 weeks ago. What a final round 18 of football. It is enormous. Thanks for joining me on the Weekly Wrap. Now, next time you see me, I'm going to be on a panel discussing the entire season that was. We're going to have Team of the Year coming up soon. There's so much to play out in the exciting Adelaide Footy League season. Thanks for joining me. I'm Tommy Javor. Keep watching more Between the Posts.
Well, folks, I've got another secret. You wouldn't believe it. I've been away a couple of weeks. I come back. Hang on. Tommy's not here, so what we're going to do, we're going to do a buddy bet without him, because I know he very much sits on the fence and we're very cognizant of this. But Sacred Heart play Glenunga this week at Sacred Heart, and I reckon Tommy might just back Glenunga in this one. So my buddy bet this week is I'm going to back Sacred Heart. Don't tell him no, and we'll just see if I can get one up. I'm only about 10 behind. So the Buddy Bet for this week, and they're fantastic sponsors of this. We're having a lot of fun with Buddy Bet. Well, some of us are. I haven't been so good in the winning department, so the wallet is empty. But Sacred Heart it is for me. Flat, just anything. Win by a point, please. Get me one up, and I'm sure Tommy will be happy to say he'll go for Glenunga, just quietly. And remember, folks, gamble responsibly. Well, folks, it's time for a look at the CMAX Clinical Research Division 7, because they've played their 17 rounds. The season is over for the home and away series, and now the finals begin. Let's have a bit of a look at some of the teams and how they fared. The improvers from 2022, first of all. 4th place, O'Sullivan's Beach Lonsdale. They moved up from 7th last year. They had 9 wins this season and only 5 in 2022. So they've come up and they'll play in the finals. 5th place, Flinders Uni. Well, they stay the same with 8 wins, and if you have a look at their fours and against, they're actually 4th in the fours and against, even though they finished in 5th place. Down from Division 6, well, surprise, surprise, the 2 teams that came down, top team is Ingle Farm with 16 wins and the highest for and against, with 2,001 points for, with the next best Para Hills on 1573. So just under 500 extra points scored. They're against, well, they still have the lowest, but they're only 40 points off Para Hills there. So an outstanding effort by Ingle Farm and Para Hills, who still have 13 wins and they finished second on the ladder. So they're our teams that came down. Our top 5 finals, well, as we said, Ingle Farm get the week off. The qualifying final this week is Para Hills versus Houghton Districts. The winner meets Ingle Farm, and of course that game is played at Para Hills. The elimination final, OSB versus Flinders Uni, the loser goes out, and that game is at Lonsdale. Who got close? Well, Mitchell Park, they finished on 7 wins plus a draw. Last season, they finished with 6 wins. They finished in 6th place, 1/2 of a game outside the 5. So looking for maybe some improvements from Mitchell Park in 2024. The bottom 2, well, 7th place Mawson Lakes. They finished with 2 wins and 1 draw. Last year they had 1 win and finished bottom. So they've moved up 1 place. And Hackham, last season they finished 4th. This season they finished on the bottom of the ladder. What we do say though is, for every club in Division 7, thank you very much for your efforts throughout the year, and we love that everyone's out there having a go. We've been out and visited a few clubs, and as long as there's 2 or maybe even 3 teams getting around having a kick of the footy, sometimes the score's not the important part. It's about the community and the support and the teammateship. Let's now go into a little bit of a look at what's happening with the run into the finals. So I found some interesting notes here. The 5th place Flinders Uni have won their last 3 rounds because they've played the 3 bottom teams. The closest game was 17 points versus Mawson Lakes. They will go into the finals full of confidence, but if you have a look at it, they haven't really been tested in recent times. Great to get some wins, fantastic for the team, but where's that hard game that the finals are going to bring? 4th place OSB Lonsdale, well, have a listen to this. They've lost their last 3 rounds. Remembering Flinders Uni have won their last 3, OSB have lost their last 3 rounds, playing the 3 top teams. The closest game was a 21 point versus Ingle Farm at home. So just under 4-goal loss at home. The upside for them, even though they've lost the 3 games, they've had hard games leading into the finals, despite the scores, and this gets them ready and finals hardened, if you like. So 4th versus 5th is going to be an interesting little tussle down there. 3rd place Houghton, who of course play Para Hills. Well, Houghton in the last 2 rounds have played the top 2 teams. In round 17 they lost to Ingle Farm by 57 points. But only 1 week earlier, round 16, they actually defeated Para Hills away mind you, by 7 points. They kicked 5 goals to 2 in the final term and they won 3/4 of football. So look out this week, it's an interesting finals coming up. Division 7 goal scorer as well, unless you've been living under a rock, we all know Daniel Wheatra, a sensational effort, kicking I think it was 5 on the weekend. He's finished with 104 goals for the season in the home and away. So a fantastic effort to Daniel Wheatra at Para Hills, a 104, a century goal kicker to that young man. We go down the list, Terrell Rigney at Ingle Farm, next best with 57. Austin Worst, O'Sullivan's Beach Lonsdale, 56. But he also shared that with Trevor Rigney, 4th on the list with 48. Luke Wall and Flinders Uni, so they've come up. He's kicked 45 for the season. And wait for this one, I'll put this one in, Anthony Jenkinson at Mawson Lakes. He finished with 45 goals as well. The reason I've included Anthony, he's 6th on the ladder, is because he's also in the top 5 players. So we go down to Division 7, top 5 players for the season. So who's been in the best players the most? Luke Allen at Hackham. Well, he's been in there 12 times, and of course we said Hackham finishing bottom, but a fantastic effort by Luke, 12 times. Anthony Jenkinson, Mawson Lakes, once again, second bottom team. However, he too has been in the best players 12 times out of 16 games. Ryan O'Leary at Hackham. So 2 players in the top 3 out of those top 5 players, and he too has been 12 times in the best players. Harrison Kaysler, O'Sullivan's Beach Lonsdale. He too has been in the best players 12 times out of 15 games. And Darren King from Mawson Lakes, he has been in the best players 11 times out of the 16 games. So that's a bit of a look at the Division 7. We thank the teams very much. We will keep an eye now on proceedings over the next couple of weeks with the finals. Well, folks, a little bit of late breaking news. We spoke with, we thought it was fair to speak with a couple of the clubs that finished down near the bottom. Well, we call it 7th and 8th position, because what we've got to remember is in Division 7, a lot of these clubs, it's about providing support for the community, it's getting the community involved, and it's also about providing players with a game of footy and a time to spend time with their mates. So Glenn Rowe, who is the president and was the coach at Hackham, they finished 7th. So Glenn has allowed it to be known they are looking for a new coach. So if anyone out there is looking to start up or is currently a coach looking around, certainly get in contact with Hackham. Great football program down there. Glenn is the current president. He's been around the club probably 8 to 10 years, spent some time coaching and in the president's position as well, along with various other positions, and a great man that will assist the new coach in a positive way. Recruits, well, Hackham is up and going. They're looking to bring in some size, a couple of bigger players, maybe a ruckman, centre-half forward, centre-half back type, and also some mids, and they've already got some players involved that are coming back to the club. So they're on a bit of a charter we'll cover in a moment. It's a new challenge for the playing group. Glenn tells me he's spoken with a lot of them, and it's exciting. They've got to get to know a new coach needs to get to know them. The numbers this year have been okay. There's a couple of times where they've had to double up, but most weeks they've been okay and they've been able to fill 2 teams. Sensational for a Division 7 team. The charter, well, it's to compete well and aim for the finals. They think they're not far off, and they're going to fill the B grade with a lot of young blokes that's going to put pressure on the A grade. So first of all, best wishes to Hackham for 2024. Mawson Lakes, well, of course, they finished bottom, or as we say, 8th position. Chris Hayden, the president. We had a very good chat today, and Mawson Lakes, the players there are really keen to play on, so they don't look like losing any players. The big focus is on community involvement, especially with volunteers. We'd like to get more volunteers around the place helping out, and also the sponsors. So we're going to go out and visit a couple of clubs in the pre-season just to see where they're at with things. What Chris did mention is Mawson Lakes is a small family club that will focus on continued growth with the Mawson Lakes community. And that's what we like to hear about community spirit and community football. Their members and the supporter base are also very important. The other thing I will say about Mawson Lakes, and this is very exciting, they both have boys and girls junior footy teams. So if there's some families out there looking for a great club and a little game for your sons and daughters, get them out to Mawson Lakes. Fantastic. The charter, well, that's to play and continue to improve the overall Mawson Lakes football program. So as we said, I don't worry about the division. We look at clubs as clubs and teams and put a positive spin on things. And it's great to talk with these clubs and highlight what their charter is for the next season. So best wishes to Hackham and also to the Mawson Lakes Football Club for season 2024. Welcome back, and the women's medal winners have all been counted, so congratulations to all our fantastic winners in 2023. Well, let's go through who they were, and of course the Women's Division 1, Olivia Evans, all over social media, fantastic. She's won the 2023 Dutchke medal with 19 votes from the Morpheville Park Football Club. Congratulations, Olivia, an outstanding effort. Women's 1 reserves, it's called the Louise Crow Medal, was won by Micaiah Bryant on 14 votes from Payneham Norwood Union.
From the women's 2s, the Catherine Mulville Medal goes to Emma Clark with 17 votes from the Tea Tree Gully Football Club.
Women's 3, the Norell Smith Medal goes to Lucinda Lawless with 22 votes. Massive score in there from Hope Valley. Well done, Lucinda.
From the women's 4s, the Stephen Baxter and Jules Smith Medal goes to Grace Power with 21 votes from the Mitcham Football Club.
Women's 5, the Annie Sargent Medal goes to Taylor Botton, 22 votes as well from North Haven.
And for the women's 6, well, it couldn't be split. It was a tie between 2. For the Georgie Eiley Medal, the Rhiannon Utton with 15 votes from the Golden Grove and Brittany Spooner with 15 votes from Athelston. Congratulations to the drawn winners for the women's 6 best and fairest.
On to the goal kickers. Division 1 was won by Remy Grant from Broadview with 25 massive goals. Well done, Remy. And the women's run reserves, Caitlin Manning from Payneham Norwood Union with 24 goals.
From the women's 2nds, Emma White from the Goodwood Saints with 23 goals to round out the season.
Women's 3rd Division, Kayla Usher from Flinders Park. Well, she scored the best out of everyone. 31 goals, young lady. Very well done.
For the women's 4s, Taylor Roberts from Hectorville counts out the season with 29 goals.
And women's 5, Sophie Aldridge from Modbury with an accurate 18 goals.
And then from the women's 6, Natalie Lohman from Athelston, 23 goals, also the leading goal kicker for her respective division. So congratulations to all of the leading goal kickers that have won this year for the women's leagues.
Well, g'day footy fans, and thanks to O'Neill Sportswear. Welcome to the Women's Wrap. I look at all the women's results and ladders and finals implications across the Adelaide Footy League for Saturday, August 19. Every division is playing finals now, and we've actually got our first grand final matchups. It won't be that long before we'll be crowning the first premiers of the Adelaide Footy League in 2022. Let's start. Billy's Bakery, Division 6, here's your ladder. Athelston and Tea Tree Gully finishing top 2 from Golden Grove and Marion. The finals so far, last week Golden Grove knocked out Marion. Athelston made the grand final, beating Tea Tree Gully. Well, Tea Tree Gully have gone out in straight sets. Golden Grove have won 2 straight finals, led all day to win by 14 points. Puts Golden Grove in the grand final. Tea Tree Gully is eliminated. Next week, at a time and venue to be confirmed. Check Play HQ for this. The first premiership of 2023 in the Adelaide Footy League will be decided between Athelston the Raggies and the Kookaburras of Golden Grove. That's the Villiers Bakery Division 6. On to the Powerade Division 5 that finished their minor round last week. Loretto and Modbury, top two. Woodville South and North Haven made finals. How did that work out? Well, Woodville South beat North Haven by 2 points. 1 goal, 10. Gee, they almost kicked themselves out of premiership contention, the Cats, but they hung on, kicking that one critical goal in the final quarter. North Haven led at every change except the one that eventually decides it, and North Haven are eliminated. Loretto and Modbury, pretty much Loretto all day, led by 13 points at half time, led by 7 points at half time, led by 13 points at three-quarter time, 15 points at three-quarter time, won by 10 points. So Loretto are into the grand final. The matches coming up, again, check Play HQ. The preliminary final next week should be Modbury hosting Woodville South. Venue, check it out. And Loretto will be in the grand final for the second straight season. It's their second year here, and they'll be taking on the winner of that Modbury-Woodville South game. That will be on September the 2nd. Again, time and venue to be advised, in the Powerade Division 5. On to the Nearmouth Mouthguards Division 4, and when we finished the minor round a couple of weeks ago, it was Hectorville and Eastern Park, the top two, from Mitcham and Lockleys, who snuck in over Scotch in the final week. The way the finals have panned out so far, Mitcham knocked out Lockleys. Hectorville got an early spot in the grand final, beating Eastern Park. And then the prelim final played yesterday at Payneham Oval saw Eastern Park win pretty easily. 6-0 at half time, cruised to a 25-point win. The Demons are off to the grand final. Mitcham's season has ended. That grand final, Nearmouth Mouthguards Division 4, TBA, venue and time, Hectorville, Eastern Park for the Nearmouth Mouthguards Division 4 Premiership. Division 3, Flinders Park and Hope Valley were your top two sides. Pembroke and Pulteney made it to the finals. So, the first semi-final, this is at Haslam Oval, saw Pembroke go down to Pulteney. In fact, the lower-ranked teams both won. Pembroke, the Queens are done for this season. Pulteney by 13 points. Second semi-final at Flinders Park, Hope Valley got up by 13 points. But at least for Flinders Park, they have the double chance, which means the remaining finals in the Nine News Division 3 this week, Flinders Park will host Pulteney. The winner will survive and play Hope Valley in the grand final on September the 2nd in the Nine News Division 3. On to Division 2, a couple of weeks ago, Teacher Gully and Goodwood were the top two. And just note, Teacher Gully, one loss for the season. Golden Grove and Westminster made up the four. In the finals, it was Golden Grove knocking off Westminster and Goodwood Saints in the upset beat Teacher Gully. Not a good day for the Gullies women. Their Div 2 team that lost one game all season, lost two finals in a row, beaten by Goodwood last week and Golden Grove this week. So Teacher Gully, minor premiers, not in the grand final. Instead, the grand final next week will be between the Goodwood Saints and the Golden Grove Kookaburras. That leaves us Division 1. And in the reserves, Payneham Norwood Union unbeaten from Broadview. Morphy Parks, those top three the same in the women's Div 1 as well. Happy Valley sneaking into the finals. So, week one of the finals at Kellett Reserve, Morpheville Park got up by 5 points in a narrow affair, closest final, I think, of the week. Payneham Norwood Union, the undefeated side, did it easy against Broadview, winning, I think, every quarter to win by 35 points. So that means Payneham will be going not just for the premiership, but an undefeated regular season in a couple of weeks. Before then, who will be their opponent? Check local guides. Broadview and Morphy Parks is the matchup in the Division 1 reserves, which leaves us just Division 1. And here, same three teams. Broadview, the minor premiers from Payneham Norwood Union, Morphettville Park, and Henley are replacing Happy Valley from the reserve. So what happened when these two met? Look, Henley had their moments, kicked the first 2 goals of the game. After that, Morphettville Park kicked 6 of the next 7 to win by 19 points. Shark season, their first in Div 1 is done. Morphy Parks survive. Broadview and Payneham Norwood Union, well, the Falcons have 2 teams in the grand final. And they beat Broadview by 9 points in a game where they won the first 3 quarters and established a 21-point lead heading for home. And even though Broadview kicked a couple late, Payneham had the lead to cover it. So the Falcons into the grand final, Broadview to the prelim, Broadview and Morphettville Park for the right to play Payneham Norwood Union in the big one, the Division 1 grand final in women's footy. So that's it. We've got 3 grand final matchups. Athelston and Golden Grove in Division 6. We've got Hectorville and Eastern Park in the Nearmouth Mouthguards Division 4. And in Division 2, Goodwood Saints and Golden Grove. That's going to be a great day of grand final action next week, followed by Divisions 5, 3, Division 1 reserves and Division 1 on September the 2nd. Some big games coming up in women's footy. Until the next week's report, I hope you enjoy them.
Well, normally we do around the league. We haven't got too much this week. However, we have some late breaking news. And the first one is, it's to do with women's football because it's a big women's football week. But we understand that Morgan Knight is retiring from the Adelaide Football Club. Adelaide University Football Club, that is. And we wish Morgan all the best in her retirement. I'm sure you'll see her around on our grand final days helping out with our commentary and also doing some women's interviews and so on. And we're hoping, Morgan, that we can get you along for the next season. But a fantastic ambassador for women's football over the journey. So all the best to Morgan Knight and all the best for the future, whatever that may hold. The other big news we have, as many of you know, Rebecca Northcote has come on the show this year and we absolutely love what Rebecca brings to the show. She's also doing the Division 1 commentary, which is fantastic. Wait for this. Rebecca plays in the Hills Football League and Mount Lofty won by 5 points on the weekend, and you'll never guess what. This week, they are in the grand final. So our very own Rebecca Northcote is playing in the grand final for Mount Lofty. So, Beck, we all love you, and from all of us here at the Adelaide Football League, and we love all the leagues, and we know we're if you like, we complement the Hills Football League as well, and we wish you all the best in your journey through the grand final this week.
Well, it's a week off from the end of the season for Division 3 Adelaide Footy League, but of course we'll be giving you an actual wrap-up of some of the best and fairest winners and best individual performances and players next week. However, for now, we'll give you a bit of a brief update on what's going on within the final round of the league, namely the final fixture. So Smosh Westlakes will be coming up against the top of the ladder, Modbury. Right now, it's only Mercedes Jets and Modbury fighting for that final top of the ladder spot, but also Smosh Westlakes themselves fighting to avoid relegation, as they are 4 wins, 13 losses, and are currently positioned with the weakest percentage on the ladder. So they will need to win that game in order to make sure that they don't get relegated to Division 4. There's also Hope Valley, who will be coming up against Pembroke. Now, Hope Valley do still have a small chance to get into the top 3 and play the first qualifying final. However, that would also rely on what looks to be Flinders Park losing to the bottom of the ladder, Gaza, who will inevitably be facing relegation. So that seems unlikely. However, Hope Valley's opponent, Pembroke, will have to win that game to make sure that they make the final 5. There is a small chance, once again, that Scotch could sneak in there. They have to beat Westminster Old Collegians, who are also fighting to avoid relegation, mind you. If they win and Smosh Westlakes lose, then Westminster will be able to overtake them on the ladder and avoid relegation. But it looks unlikely that Scotch Old Collegians will be playing finals this year. However, a very valiant effort nonetheless to get to that stage. We'll also go over some of the top goal kickers as well as best players. Liam Verity has rounded out the season with 66 goals and looks to solidify as the leading goal kicker for the year. But Daniel Nobles from Hope Valley hasn't ruled himself out either, with 64 goals to his 66. So really it could actually be a race for not the Coleman Medal, but the leading goal kicker award for Division 3 in the Adelaide Footy League this upcoming weekend. Matthew Min, top 3 from Hope Valley as well. Hopefully he doesn't take too many goals off of him, because obviously Daniel Nobles is the one looking for that award now. And Mark Evans from Pembroke with 45, as well as Jake Sutcliffe with 45 from the Unley Mercedes Jets, rounding out the top 5. When we look at best players' performances, we don't have a count, I suppose, not an official umpiring count until we reach the best and fairest night. But from Play HQ, we have a bit of a preview for who some of the best and fairest contenders could be. Darcy Pisani from Modbury with 13 BOG performances according to Play HQ. Really formidable stuff. Tom Schwartz from Flinders Park with 12 BOG performances throughout the year according to Play HQ. In third, Darcy Ginniver from Smosh Westlakes with 11, Mitchell Mead from Seaton Ramblers with 10, and James Schwartz from Flinders Park with 9. And the beautiful thing about that is that not only are there probably a dozen players after that have 9 BOG performances according to Play HQ, which shows how close it is once you get to that top 5 to 15 bracket. But more importantly, a lot of the players in that top 5 are actually playing for some of the clubs that won't be playing finals this year, which shows that some of the most formidable performers and some of the most formidable individuals in the league have come from some of the lower grade teams, proving that anyone can win it and there's always a prize to enjoy and there's a reason to sit and watch the football for 3 hours, even if your team's not dominating the ladder. The individual performers can sometimes really attract the spectators in, and I reckon Division 3 has been a division defined by that this year. We've talked about individual players that on their own merits have justified getting a showcase of their own, even if their team is a bit academic as far as results go. So once again, I've really enjoyed covering Division 3 this year, and I look forward to announcing who the best and fairest winners are in next week's Division 3 Specialist segment. But that's just a little bit of an update for the final round of Division 3 this weekend. Looking forward to it. It's time to take a look at the highlight marks and goals of last weekend, because tell you what, there isn't much space left on the hard drive for 2023, but still enough for some extra highlights to come in and maybe even a capsulating moment of the season to come as well. Tony, who were the winners this weekend?
Well, Harry Prosser, when you have a look at this one, out of the mud at Glenunga or the centre square there, a 70-metre kick off one step pretty much. It got just over the top of the pack. And it bounced, and it bounced, and it rolled, and it went through. And I'll tell you what, that could be the second 70-metre goal that we've seen this season. So well done to Harry Prosser with that goal. Division 1, of course, Glenunga. And last week's mark winner, Joshua Glenn from Golden Grove in Division 2. And you'd see that ball come in, and he just protected the area where the ball was coming to, held the other player off with strength, used the one arm, brought the ball down, controlled it beautifully. So well done, Joshua Glenn, with the one-handed grab there. And of course, the mark of the week wins the Bianco $100 voucher.
So here are the selections for this week. Remember, the top 3 are on the Adelaide Footy League Facebook page. To vote yourself, simply head over to the page and cast your vote using the appropriate emoji reaction.
Bad, but the unselfish nature of this Broadview team, they keep trying to share it around, and Yang! It might go! It does!
Well, good day, footy fans, and thanks to O'Neill Sportswear. Welcome to the weekend wrap. A look at all the men's A-grade results and ladders from the Adelaide Footy League from Saturday, August 19. And the finals are well and truly on the horizon now, with big games all over the competition. Starting in the CMAX Clinical Research Division 7, where it was the last minor round game, and the results went as expected. The higher ranked team won all 4 matches. Ingle Farm over Houghton, Para Hills over OSB Lonsdale, Mitchell Park over Mawson Lakes, and Flinders University, who had to win to make the finals, did so with a 76-point victory over Hackham. So, the first of our last men's ladders for the season, Ingle Farm, the minor premiers. Para Hills and Houghton, second and third, will play the qualifying final. OSB Lonsdale, a game ahead of Flinders Uni, who stayed that half a game ahead of Mitchell Park. Mawson Lakes, half a game ahead of Hackham, who get the Atlas position for 2023. Finals start next week. Check your Play HQ for times and locations. But in the elimination final, it will be OSB Lonsdale hosting Flinders University. The qualifying final, double chance, second versus third, will see Para Hills versus Houghton. The winner of that game will get Ingle Farm in the second semi-final. The loser still alive will play the winner of OSB Lonsdale and Flinders University. Finals time in the CMAX Clinical Research Division 7. Not far away from the rest of the men's divisions, round 17 in the O'Neill Sportswear Division 6, and Marion, well, they've secured their minor premiership, 119-point win over Adelaide Lutheran. Accurate, but still losers. St. Paul's went down to Central United, so Central United now into the 5, I think, at Adelaide Lutheran's expense. Fitzroy over Rosewater by 43. Not great to see here. Brahma Lodge, who've struggled all year, forfeiting to Greenacres. Let's hope they can get a team up for their last home game next week. And Salisbury warmed up for the finals, 161-point winners over Smithfield. So, yep, that result was Central United, put them in the 5 at Adelaide Lutheran's expense, just the better percentage. Otherwise, the rest looks pretty set. Marion minor premiers. Salisbury and Greenacres will play in the qualifying final in a couple of weeks, where will probably be determined by the results and margins this weekend. Fitzroy will host the elimination final against the Bulldogs. Will it be Central United or Adelaide Lutheran? Hard to see it being Rosewater. It would require massive wins to make up 6%. Just too hard at this stage of the season. And Smithfield and Brahma Lodge have long been the teams in the relegation zone. They'll be in Div 7 next year. The games next week, Salisbury and Marion will be a cracker. Second hosting first. Fitzroy and Smithfield, their last game in Div 6. Brahma Lodge, we hope, will get a team up to play St. Paul's to see out the season. Adelaide Lutheran have to win, or hope that Central United get a pounding, but Adelaide Lutheran need a win against Greenacres and hope that Central United go down to Rosewater, or they both win, both lose, and there's big enough margins to make up that percentage gap. But we're talking about 120 goal wins in each direction, so unlikely. But still that finals berth and still second spot up for grabs in the O'Neill Sportswear Division 6 heading into the final round of the regular season. On to the Wakefield Sports Clinic Division 5, and we start with an upset. Big time. Woodville South, is that the win that saves their season? 73-point victors over Trinity Old Scholars. Pulteney did it easy over Elizabeth, well, reasonably easy. 26 scoring shots to 17. The Eagles pretty accurate, but not enough. Pulteney by 29. Kilburn, high-scoring machine, 142-point winners over Blackfriars. Two cracking games. Jeps Cross beat Colonel Light Gardens at the Lions by just 6 points. Both teams scored 100. And Eastern Park, desperately needing to win to get off the bottom, avoid relegation. They had the second highest score of the division in the weekend. Only problem, the highest score belonged to their opponents, West Croydon. A 41-goal game. West Croydon by 35 points. The ladder. No one at this point, well, Eastern Park with that are now relegated, and probably were last week as well. Let's start at the top. Jeps Cross could still lose the minor premiership if they fall over in the final week to Kilburn. That's the top three. The Colonel Gardens will be on the road in the qualifying final. Would be a shock if Trinity didn't host the elimination, given they've got 4.5% or so over West Croydon, who are in the 5. The 5 is set. Pulteney are safe. Woodville South would need a huge loss and a huge Blackfriars win and an Elizabeth win to get relegated. Elizabeth is still in danger because if Blackfriars get up, they can jump Elizabeth on percentage. And mentioned Eastern Park, they are going to Div 6 next year. The games to round out the season here: Eastern Park host Woodville South. Blackfriars, they host West Croydon. Jeps Cross host Pulteney. Trinity Old Scholars and Colonel Light Gardens is 3rd versus 4th. Should be a pretty even matchup. Elizabeth versus Kilburn. So the big one, probably Blackfriars versus West Croydon, with Blackfriars having to win to jump the Eagles, who face the Giant Killers in Kilburn, who've been winning and winning big. You can see that percentage, 68%. That's the Wakefield Sports Clinics Division 5. Still some things to be sorted in the final minor round. The 9 News Division 4, and for such an even division, things are getting pretty much sorted. Lockleys eliminated Kenilworth, 23 points. CBC, 82-point winners over Morphy Parks. Tight game at Daily Oval. The Bulldogs beat the Hounds by 5 points. Mitcham, they're getting relegated, but hey, they took a scalp on the way, beating Walkerville by 35. And Paraka warmed up for their finals, 34 goals, 9. How's that for accuracy? Defeating Portland 9-5-59. The ladder, all those results mean that Paraka have the minor premiership. CBC will play in the qualifying final. Plimpton could still jump Lockleys if results go their way. Hectorville will be in the elimination final. They won't catch 11% on Lockleys in just 1 week. Kenilworth eliminated. Walkerville, I think, were eliminated the week before along with Morphy Parks. And Mitcham, despite the win, will be going to Div 5 along with the winless Portland. So the minor premiership sorted. It's just just 3rd, 4th and 5th that's really going to be worked out here of consequence. The matches: Portland, can they get a win? They host Kenilworth to see out their Div 4 time. Plimpton and Paraka should be a cracker, 4th versus 1st. Bulldogs need to win any chance of a double chance. Lockleys can secure it if they can beat Walkerville. Mitcham hosts CBC Old Collegians. And lastly, it's Morphy Parks and Hectorville. Hectorville get up and Plimpton lose. They'll be back to Daily Oval for the elimination final in a couple of weeks. That's the 9 News Division 4. On to Division 3. The results here saw Modbury beat Scotch. Scotch drop out of the 5. Only Mercedes keeping pace with the league leaders, beating Gazer by 43. Flinders Park jumped Hope Valley with a percentage-boosting 74-point win, needing the percentage to jump Hope Valley. This one has shook up the relegation battle. Westminster Old Scholars 1-point winners over an inaccurate Seaton Ramblers. That means that Seaton are still vulnerable and Smosh West Lakes are still vulnerable, beaten by Pembroke by 33 points, a result that sees the Kings into the 5 at Scotch's expense. Onto the ladder, Modbury half a game ahead of only Mercedes. Minor premiership still up for grabs. Flinders Park and Hope Valley will be the matchup for the qualifying final. Flinders Park the inside running to host it. Pembroke and Scotch still a battle there for 5th. It's Pembroke in by half a game. Seaton Ramblers with that percentage should be safe if Westminster get up and tie them on 4 wins. But Smosh, definitely not. A Westminster win, a Smosh loss, Westminster survive, and Smosh go down and join Gazer in Div 4 next year. So the Smosh doesn't get easier for them. They host league leaders Modbury. Westminster, they play 6th place Scotch. At Scotch, and probably the game of the round, Westminster must win to avoid relegation. Scotch must win to play finals. Hope Valley and Pembroke is 4th versus 5th. Hope Valley need to win to try and get the double chance. Pembroke can lock in a finals berth with a victory. Other games, only Mercedes Jets versus Seaton and Flinders Park can lock in the double chance if they can travel to Gaza and take away the 2 points. That's Division 3. Breakthrough Mental Health Foundation Division 2, Athelston beat Adelaide Uni by 9 points. Edwardstown season's done. Golden Grove, the minor premiers, victorious by 83. Salisbury North stayed in the finals hunt just with a 5-point win over Henley. Foss Camden and Payneham. Well, Foss's win locks up a double chance for them. 3-point winners over the Falcons. They'll meet in the qualifying final. Maybe that'll give them some confidence. And Ross Trevor, needing to win, did so against North Haven, who look bound for Division 3 next year. The ladder, Golden Grove, minor premiers. Payneham and Foss, qualifying finalists. Venue to be determined on this week's results. Athelston and Ross Trevor look home, but if they lose and Salisbury North win in the final game, they'll be jumped by the Hawks and will miss. Edwardstown can't be relegated, can't play finals. Adelaide Uni can be relegated with a Henley win. North Haven need to win, and Adelaide Uni need to lose in totality by 65 goals. So there needs to be the total of Adelaide Uni's loss and North Haven's win needs to be about 388 points to get interesting with that percentage gap. So the games this weekend, Rocks versus Athelston. The winner guaranteed finals and will host the elimination next week. The loser will be keeping an eye on what Salisbury North do. Henley play North Haven. Can the Sharks escape relegation in the final week? Well, if they win and Adelaide Uni lose, the Sharks will. Payneham Norwood Union and Edwardstown, if the Falcons win, their percentage should be enough to see them host the qualifying. Adelaide Uni and Foss Camden. Adelaide Uni need to win to guarantee their safety. Foss would need a win to have a chance at hosting the qualifying final. And finally, Golden Grove and Salisbury North. What a task for the Hawks here. Salisbury North must win and really hope that Athelston defeat Ross Trevor, because I don't think they'll make up the 1.08% or 1.12% on Athelston. Salisbury North, they got to win. They got to beat the best team in the comp. Maybe the Kookaburras could take it easy going into finals. Maybe. So that's the games, the matchups, all the consequences. Every game in Div 2 means something. That's the great thing about the Adelaide Footy League this time of year. That leaves us with Division 1. And Tea Tree Gully put one big footstep forward to playing finals. And Brighton are still not out of relegation trouble. A thumping 72-point win. St. Peter's chances of staying up took a dent. Not relegated yet, though, beaten by Sacred Heart by 43 points. Broadview needed a percentage booster to try and keep in touch with Tea Tree Gully. They got that, 126-point victory over Old Iggy's, their last Div 1 home game at Karen Rolton for a while. The match of the two top teams was not as close as even that scoreline indicated. 27 scoring shots to 15. Glenunga are the minor premiers of Div 1, 27 points over Prince Alfred, who are still second, half a game ahead of Sacred Heart. And this was the big one. It ran a little late, so everybody was watching it. Goodwood Saints with a win would be safe. They lost. Port District by a point. So Goodwood Saints, Brighton, St. Peter's, three teams, one's going down. And Port District, they were already hosting the elimination final. That is still the case. Here's the ladder in Division 1. You can see Glenunga, game and a half ahead of Prince Alfred with one game to go. The Rams get the week off and will host the second semi. Prince Alfred and Sacred Heart locked in to play the qualifying final, where will depend on results this weekend. Port District, a lock to host the elimination final against Tea Tree Gully or Broadview. Now, mathematically, could still be Brighton, but they're not going to win and make up 8 percentage points at this time of the year. So it's Tea Tree Gully by one game and 1.4%. So what does that mean? Well, let's go through the games. Firstly, Prince Alfred host Tea Tree Gully. Prince Alfred, if they win, will be second, will host the qualifying. Tea Tree Gully, if they win, will be in the elimination against Port District. Broadview and Goodwood Saints. Broadview must win and need a bit of help from Prince Alfred to help play finals. Goodwood Saints need to win to ensure their safety in Division 1. Brighton and Old Iggy's. Brighton need to win to ensure their safety in Division 1. Port District and Spock. Port District is just a warm-up for elimination final a week later, but St. Peter's have to win and hope either Brighton lose and they can make up the 1%, or Goodwood lose and they jump right over the top of them. And finally, the stream game will be third hosting first. Shock wins, gives them a chance of maybe hosting Prince Alfred if Tea Tree Gully get them. Glenunga just warming up for some huge games ahead. That's all the divisions. Who's my team of the week? It's back this week. Couldn't go past the effort of Woodville South in Division 5. They all but ensured their safety there, upsetting fourth place Trinity Old Scholars, and it wasn't a narrow win. It was a 73-point thumping. Well done to the Cats, who find a way most years to be in a relegation battle, and more times than not, they managed to survive it. Alrighty, that's a wrap. What a week, and what a huge week to round out the Adelaide Footy League men's competition minor round we got next week. Plus, of course, finals in the CMAX Clinical Research Division 7. So thanks to O'Neill Sportswear for supporting the segment. Thanks to you for watching. Hope you kept track of all of this. My name's Phil Herden. Until next week, when we'll have all finals to talk about in the men's footy. Hope you enjoy your footy.
Well, it's almost time to say farewell for our weekly viewers, but first we would like to cover some of the broadcasts which we'll be doing this weekend across the men's and women's leagues. Tony, you've got some of the women's broadcasts?
Well, it's grand final day. It's a huge day down there at Kilburn. 3 games will be live streamed and commentated. And the first one is the Division 6 Grand Final, Atherton versus Golden Grove, with myself and some special guests along the way to help with the commentary. We then go to the Division 4 game, Hectorville versus Eastern Park. Of course, that will be Indy and Rebecca Northcott commentating there. And then the big one, Division 2, Goodwood Saints versus Golden Grove. And that too will be Indy and Beck. So a huge day of women's football. Just very quickly, the next week we'll have Divisions 5, 3 and 1 from St Mary's. But this week, Kilburn Footy Ground, get on to us early.
And this week is also the final round of the regular season for Division 1 in the Adelaide Footy League, and we are once again live streaming all of the Division 1 games as we've been attempting to do throughout the whole season. Prince Alfred Old Collegians will be hosting Tea Tree Gully at Park 9. We have Sacred Heart Old Collegians hosting Glenunga at their senior school ground. We have Broadview hosting Goodwood at Broadview Oval. We have Brighton hosting Old Iggy's at Brighton Oval. And we also have the Port Districts Football Club hosting St. Peter's Old Collegians at their respective home venue. Teams fighting to avoid relegation, teams fighting for the top of the ladder, and teams fighting just to smidge into that final 5 position. So it'll be really exciting to see how the weekend plays out. But now, Tony, it's time to bid farewell.
All right, Indy. Well, what have we got? The sponsors, of course.
Yes, of course, our sponsors, as always, Nine News Adelaide Police Credit Union, Billy's Bakery, SA Gourmet Meats, West End Powerade, and 5AA, plus many, many more that we'd like to thank for making this show possible. We'd also like to thank all of our guests who featured on tonight's program and guests gone by throughout the year. Tony?
Well, we would like to thank Make Sure Ratify, and we hope that people have been looking at the advert that we've put up around Make Sure Ratify, because this is the time of the year to get your, if you like, your paperwork all in one area, get it all, if you like, ratified. And if you're a coach looking to apply, or if you're a club looking at potential coaches, if they can get onto the Ratify app, get everything in one place at one time, it will be sensational. So thank you to Make Sure Ratify for their assistance so far this year, and of course they will be with us throughout the finals as well. Anything else there? Social media, Indy?
Of course, you can always find us on social media through the official Facebook Adelaide Footy League page, or you can also look at the Filming Footy YouTube channel to feature into our live streams that we live stream through the YouTube channel every weekend, as well as the official Dartfish website. We now thank everybody for watching, and we look forward to bringing you the upcoming finals action. It is upon us now.
Thanks for watching Between the Posts.